All right, what's going on, everybody? What's going on? What's going on? What is going on, y'all? We are back with another OSCP-like machine, and this one is called Forest. All right, Forest comes from Hack the Box. It's a pretty cool machine where we get to interact with some Kerberos services, some Active Directory services. Get to explore these. If you aren't familiar with it, this could have been a little trouble for you to get through the challenges. If you are familiar with it, you were brushing up on your Active Directory skills. If you were, if you weren't, we're going to go through this together, have some fun. Hey, you all, please do me a favor. If you've been liking our series, if you love our content, do me a favor and smash the like button, y'all. We want to get these videos in front of as many people as we can, help as many people as we can, learn together, grow together. Do me a favor, smash that like button. Make sure you're subscribed for more content just like this. And if you want to go through one of these live hacks with us, leave us a comment and leave us a note or a comment below, and we'll reach out to you, right? Cyber Thursday is always available for things like that. All right, let's go ahead and get right into this machine, y'all. Don't want to take up too much time. So I'm not going to, let's see. What I'm not going to do the nmap scans and stuff over, right? Since I already have them. I have a lot of files here, right? And to save time, I'm not gonna rerun certain scans, but let's look at our nmap scan first. So we did run an nmap scan, right? Ran the full scan. You can see the switch here. Also, we do have a write-up on this box. I'll post that link in the description if you want to read the write-up. I know I like write-ups sometimes better than videos. But here's the nmap scan. We can see a bunch of different services open. We have port 53, that's DNS, Kerberos 88, some NetBIOS stuff, RPC stuff, LDAP. Okay, that's for directory services. 445. Okay, 593, 636. It's LDAP secure. You have some more LDAP stuff going on, and WinRM, right? WinRM is on this service. Okay, so what most of us are familiar with is some type of web application being on the box, right? Port 80, port 443, and then going over there to try to enumerate for more information. We don't have that here, so we need to enumerate based off of what services we do have. All right, so right after this nmap scan, I kicked off an enum for Linux scan, so I just did enum for Linux with the IP address of the target. Let's make sure we have access. We have connection. All right, cool. So, our enum for Linux scan, the results came back with some pretty useful information that we ended up using to start pivoting over to our next steps. And those results were, I think I passed it. Here it is. Users, right? Users on, here we go. So we have a list of users here. You see the administrator user, the guest, these other user accounts, and the service account. All right, so what I did here was make a list of all these users, right? There's a bunch of other information that comes with enum for Linux. You can see the password policies, right? This other system related information. But what was most interesting were those users. Right, and I just made a file called LDAP users. These are the same users, not including the administrator, right? Because honestly, I didn't see the administrator account the first time. I only saw the last few accounts that were towards the middle. I didn't go to the top of the users list. So here we have these users, put them in a list, right? We don't have passwords for them yet, but we do know that this service has, this system has Kerberos installed on it. Okay, Kerberos is an authentication service, right? Certain versions of Kerberos are vulnerable to what do we call it? Pre-authentication attacks. Right, a pre-authentication attack allows us to steal the what is it? The TGT, the ticket. It's really a hash, but to steal the TGT ticket, aka hash, that users usually have. Like Sebastian, Lucinda, SVC, Andy, Mark, Santi. When you authenticate with Kerberos, you're requesting some type of ticket, right? And you're using that ticket to the users here, they're using that ticket to access other services on the domain, right? So the pre-authentication attacks allows us to steal that ticket. Okay, so that's what we're going to try to do here. To do the pre-authentication attack against Kerberos, we just need a list of users. All right, we're going to take this list of users, and what we're going to do is use an npacket script to do the pre-authentication attack. Right, there are other ways to do this attack. We're just going to use an npacket script called GetNPUsers.py. So I'm going to use this share doc python 3 npacket examples, and it's called GetNPUsers. Okay. Is this it right here? HTTP.logo. Yeah, I think this is it. So this is the script here. Okay, it's an npacket script, right? And for this to work, you need to put the domain that you're targeting, http.local, the file of the list of users, right? This is the switch users file. This is our list of users, LDAP users, and the IP of the domain controller, right? That's 10.10.10.161. Right, that's the system that we're targeting. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and run this, and we do get a ticket, get somebody's TGT, and it's Alfresco, right? This user right here, SVC Alfresco. Remember, that was part of our users that we found from Enum for Linux. Okay, so we have his hash here. So all we have to do is try to crack this hash. Right, this is the TGT ticket we were talking about. It's really a hash, but this is it right here. So this hash, all we got to do now is crack it. I have it in a file, I believe. Right, this is the file right here. All right, this is the hash in the file. The file is called hash svc alfresco. So we're going to go ahead and use John. What am I doing? Hash svc. I'm going to use John to crack it, right? It's not going to work for me since I've already cracked it. I'll run the show again, but I just want you to see how we use John to crack this hash. So you're going to call John the tool, then you're going to point John towards your hash. Ours is in that file. Then we're going to tell John what word list we want to use, which is the Rocky word list. This isn't going to work for me right now because I've already cracked it, but for you, it should start running. Since I've already cracked it, I need to run John --show. And you can see the password here, which is service. Okay, so now we have two things. Quick recap. We have one important thing. We have SVC Alfresco's password to his account, his or her account, right? SSH isn't enabled on the box, so we can't use these crests to SSH into the box. But what is enabled? What is enabled, y'all? What is enabled? What is enabled? WinRM, right? WinRM is enabled on this box. Well, this port is open, right? So if you're familiar with this is another remote management tool. This is kind of like SSH in a way where you can remotely manage different devices. So we're going to use that, right? We have Alfresco's password. We're going to try to use his credentials to get onto this box via WinRM, right? We're just going to use EvilWinRM. All right, EvilWinRM should come pre-installed with Kali. You just tell it the target that you're trying to log into, give it the username and the password. Now this should go ahead and log us into Alfresco's account. All right, now that we're here, I'm going to try and skip through a lot of the roadblocks that I had and just get straight to the point. Okay, we know what type of service we're dealing with. This is some type of Active Directory domain controller service going on here based off of the ports, right? Based off of these ports here that we saw. Whoops. Right? LDAP was a clear giveaway. LDAP secure, Kerberos. So based off of that, we, if this is some type of some type of directory service installed here, there may be some directory objects, right, that we can collect and go and analyze later, right? What are directory objects? Computers, groups, permissions, users, other things that are on our network, other people, users, computers, systems, services that are running on our network would be considered these AD objects, right? And we can grab that stuff, right? If we truly are on a domain controller, we can go ahead and grab that information, right? And the tool that we would use to grab that information with is called Sharphound and Bloodhound. We really don't need to use Sharphound though. We could just use Bloodhound. What Sharphound does, Sharphound is a tool that collects those AD objects for us, and Bloodhound analyzes it. Right? The reason I say we don't need to use Sharphound is because Bloodhound has a Python script that can collect those objects for us. But I'm going to go ahead and use Sharphound. That's what I use. I did try it with Bloodhound's Python script too, but I'm just going to use Sharphound for now. So for this to work, we have to transfer Sharphound over to our victim machine, which we are on right now. So for us to do that, let's go ahead. I have Sharphound right here, sharphound.exe. I will post a link for you to get this off of GitHub. So all I'm going to do is start up a web service. I'm actually going to do it on port 80 so it's easier for me to fetch the file. All right, all we're going to do right here, we're just going to fetch this Sharphound file. All right, we have our web server started over port 80 to get this file. And we're going to use PowerShell to do that. PowerShell.c, use this wget http 10.10. What's my IP address? 14.7, 14.7, port 80. All right, that's why I did this on port 80, so I don't have to type in port 8000 right now. Sharphound.exe. Out file will be sharphound.exe. Okay, that was successful. We can see that on our end that it was successful. I'm going to close that. Oh no, I closed the wrong one. That sucks. Okay, so evil. So Sharphound is now on here. Okay, to use it, all we have to do is sharphound.exe-c all. We're telling Sharphound to collect everything. That's going to go ahead and start collecting the loot for us. We're going to transfer this loot back over here. I've already done it. I'm just going to show you how I did it. You can see the loot right here. Okay, the loot is everything that Sharphound is capturing or collecting. We're going to transfer it back over to our local machine with SMB, with an SMB server. Okay, so we're going to use another in-packet script, smb-server.py, to start up an SMB server called Cali that's working in our local directory. Okay, now this is started up. All we have to do now is transfer this loot file, right? This is what Sharphound just collected. All we have to do is transfer this over to our SMB server. Okay, we have the SMB server started. We just have to copy this over there. I already have it here. I'm going to type out the commands to do it. I'm just not going to submit it because I already have the loot here. Right, so first thing I did was rename this to something a lot easier. Whoops. So move this to sharp loot.zip. Okay, now we have this here. Now we got to do is copy it over to our SMB server. Remember, I'm not going to submit this. All right, the name of our SMB server is Cali, and we want to copy over this sharp loot.zip. That's already here. I guess it won't hurt if I do it. So I submitted it again. So now you see it here, right? Now we have that loop file. Now we can analyze it using Bloodhound. All right, so what I'm gonna do is open up a new screen. Okay, just for Bloodhound to work, we have to first start up his database, which is Neo4j. All right, once this database is started up, you may have to install this, or you may have to change your default password for it to fully work for you. So just go ahead and do that. It's pretty straightforward. You should get a URL somewhere down here to access so you can change your password. But we have Neo4j started now. So we're gonna go ahead and start up Bloodhound. To start it up, you just call the binary. It's gonna log in with our password that we changed it to. I already have information in here. I'm gonna clear it out so we can start fresh. Okay, that's gone. Let's go ahead and import the data that we just collected with Sharphound. So we're gonna hit upload data. Now, why are we using Bloodhound again? Recap, y'all. Let's slow down. Why are we using Bloodhound right now? Well, we got initial access to the box, right? We stole that TGT hash, cracked it, found the password to Alfresco's account, logged in with EvilWinRM. We already know what type of machine we're dealing with. It's some type of domain controller. Based off of that, we decided to try and collect active 8 or directory objects, right? We tried to collect directory objects with Sharphound. You could have used Bloodhound to collect it if you wanted to, but we used Sharphound. And we found those objects, and we just want to analyze it, right? We want to see what's there. Okay, this is an Active Directory server. We know that, right? You can tell based off of the name of the box, forest. Okay, a bunch of different Active Directories or a bunch of different domains makes a forest. Okay, so that's why we're here in Bloodhound. We're uploading this sharp_loot zip that we just renamed. Let's upload that. That is done. All right, Bloodhound is a pretty cool tool to analyze domain objects. So we're gonna go to this analysis tab. Before we do that, remember this account. Let's go ahead and type out SVC Alfresco. Okay, we can now, right, this search bar right here, we can use it to search for other objects on this that exist on that domain, right? One object that we do know exists is SVC Alfresco, right? We use this account. So let's right click this and mark user as owned. All right, so Bloodhound know this is owned, and we can do other analysis based off of it being owned. Okay, but maybe we'll do that later. But let's keep going. Let's keep trucking along. All right, now what's our goal, right? We want to get to the high value targets, right? That's my main point of using Bloodhound, is trying to get to the high value targets. The high value targets meaning some type of administrator account that owns, that has all access on this domain, right? So let's go shortest path to high value. Well, before we do that, let's do this one first. Shortest path from owned principals, just so that we can get an understanding of how Bloodhound works. So we're going to select the domain, right? First you select this, then we're selecting the domain, the owned principal that we owned. Okay, now you can see the shortest path from this owned principals. That's why we mark this user as owned, so we can see what they have access to. We can see that they're a member of this service account group. They're also a member of this privileged IT accounts. They're a member of this account operators, which has generic all access on http.local or this exchange server, meaning it can do whatever. This group has permission to do pretty much whatever it wants over here. And that's good, right? Well, you'll see why. So this is kind of how Bloodhound works with the analysis, right? Good understanding. Now let's go to shortest paths to high value targets, right? This is going to look like a soup sandwich. It's going to look pretty disgusting. So bear with me here, right? The high value target that we want to get onto is this http.local, right? This domain right here. I'm going to pull it out, right? And what I did was I'm looking at these lines here, right? I don't know the best way to explain it, but the titles on these lines, right? Because the titles of these lines tell you the permission that objects have with other objects. So for instance, HTTP.local, someone has write DACL, write DACL access to HTTP.local, meaning they can modify the permissions on this domain, right? If we right click this, hit help, it tells us what this write DACL permission means, right? The members of this group have permission to modify the discretionary access controls on the HTTP.local domain. This means they can pretty much grant themselves any privileges they want. Anybody in this group right here can grant themselves any privileges they want on this domain, right? This group, let's see where it is right here. All right, bear with me. We're just looking at these two right now. Okay, so this group right here can write to this group. All right, so how do we get people in this group, or how do we get ourselves in this group? Let's right click this group, because we want to be able to change to do anything on this domain, which means we need to get into this group. So we right click this group, and let's do shortest path to here from owned. Shortest path to this group from the account we have owned. And we can see this is the account we owned here. And this is that group that we want to get inside of right here. So this account that we own is a member of the service account, which is a member of the privileged IT account, which is a member of the account operators. And the account operators has generic all to this account, to this group, right? So if we right click that, hit help, people in this group, the account operators group, has full control of this group, right? So we can add people to this group, right? Why can we add people to this exchange group right now? Why can we add people to this exchange group? Because by group association and membership, our service account is an account operator. We are inside of this account operators, right? We are a member, which means we can do whatever we want on this exchange Windows permissions. All right, so what we're going to do now is create an account. All right, we could probably put ourselves in this account, this group, but we're going to create a new account and add it to this group. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. And why are we creating a new account and adding it to this group? Because this exchange Windows permission group can change permissions on, or has full permissions on the HTTP.local domain. So let's go ahead and add somebody to that group. What is this? This is Bloodhound. I'm going to close this. We're going to do net. We're going to create a user, net user. Let's call it, I'm going to call them Kage. Net user add Kage. Is that it? What am I doing wrong? Oh, I didn't add a password. Net user add Kage. Password will do O-line security. Add. All right, so that user has been added. Okay, so now I got a net group. Copy this. So net group Kage add. Sweet. All right, so now that Kage is added to that group, we have a user that's Kage that's added to this group. Here, let's go back. Shortest path to high value target. Hit this. Where is that? Right, DACL. All right, cool. So now we have somebody in this group named Kage. That means they have full right permission to this group. All right, so let's go ahead and right click this, hit help. That user that we just created has access to HTTP.local's DACL. This means Kage, the user we created, can grant themselves any privileges they want on this account. Now, how can we abuse that? Well, I mean, you're probably already thinking of a bunch of ways to abuse it, right? But here, Bloodhound actually gives us an attack that we can do called a DCsync attack, a domain controller sync attack. And if you're not familiar with domain controllers, we use them, you know, to manage different directory objects, especially Active Directory objects. But your domain controllers can contain a lot of information, such as your users, groups, passwords, sensitive information, right? A DCsync attack is literally trying to replicate all the information on your domain controller to the target's local machine, right? So we're pretending to be a domain controller. We, the attackers, we're pretending to be a domain controller. And what we're doing is doing a DC sync, a domain controller sync. We're saying, hey, HTTP.locals domain controller, can you please sync your information over to us, right? This is kind of like I'm thinking of a DNS zone transfer attack. Okay, it's almost like a DNS zone transfer attack, but it's with domain controller. So we're gonna go ahead and do this right here. This stuff right here, feel free to take a look at it and read it. Gonna do it a little bit differently, and you'll see now. So first things first, for this to work, we need to execute this script, right? This script is hosted on our local machine. I will try to post a link so you all can grab this as well. This is a power view script that we're going to use to do the DC sync attack. Okay, so let's go ahead and start up a web server because we're going to call the script, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do this. So we just activated that script. The next thing we're going to do is store our password. And mind you, everything that I'm doing right here, I think everything for the most part is inside of this right here. Right, everything that I'm getting ready to do. This, all that is here, okay? So please feel free to come back and read it here. So let's go ahead. We just activated that script. Now I'm going to store my credentials inside of an object. All right, that's what we did here. Then we are going to reference that here inside of cred. Okay, these are our credentials, right? We have our password stored in this object. Now we have our credentials for Kage inside of this object. Okay, now we're going to do this. This should work. Cool, let's see. All right, so this is the, yeah. All right, so the last thing we just did was grant ourselves privileges to do the DC sync. I don't know why I keep getting a tongue twister with that. All right. Right, we gave ourselves sufficient amount of privileges so we can do the domain controller sync attack, the DC sync attack. All right, that's what this last line was over here. All right, so now we have permissions to do this domain controller sync attack. Why? How did we get permissions? Well, first of all, we have a user inside of this group that can pretty much do anything on http.local, right? And here, let me right click this. Whoops. All right, so we can pretty much do anything on http.local. What we're specifically doing is giving ourselves permission to do a DC sync attack. That's what this is right here. Right? We have given ourselves sufficient permission to do this attack. Now, the way they have us doing it right here is using Mimikatz. I'm not going to use Mimikatz, right, to do this attack. I am going to use another in-packet module. Okay, this one is called secrets dump. Okay, so this right here is going to try and dump the credentials on this domain, right? It's going to try to replicate the credentials over to our local machine, right? It's going to do the DCsync attack, but it's specifically going to try to replicate those credentials that are on this domain. It's going to use this user account we just created, Kage, and we gave Kage the permissions to do the DCsync attack. And this is our password, O-Line Security. Make sure you check out olinesecurity.com for some of our cool security classes, y'all. All right, so now we're going to run this attack. And we're going to get, let's open this up somewhere else. We get a bunch of hashes. All right, we get a bunch of user hashes like this administrator hash. Wait, let's go to the top. Right here. This administrator hash. All right, so what we just did here was the DCsync attack, right? We replicated these credentials over, and we found some hashes. All right, here's hashes for the administrator. You could go ahead and try to crack this, but we're just going to do a pass the hash attack. Okay, we have those hashes stored somewhere. Right, it's in here. Okay, so we can just use this to do a pass the hash attack now. All right, because all we needed at this point. So where are we at right now? Let's do this first. Examples, and then PS exec. Okay, so where are we right now? We have successfully completed the DCsync attack, which gave us a bunch of credentials, especially this administrator hash right here, right? This is the password hash. This looks like NTLM or something. You can see the two different hashes here. But now we have the hash. You could try to crack it. I didn't crack it. I just used it in a pass the hash attack to log in as the administrator, right? And what I used to do that was PS exec, right? PS exec is going to take the hash, which is this entire line that I gave it, and then the account name and the IP address we're trying to log into, right? I did try to use these passwords one at a time. It didn't work. For some reason, PS exec needs the whole thing. It's pretty interesting to me. If you're familiar as to why, please leave that in the comments below. I'd love to learn that. But yeah, we can go ahead and log in as administrator, and boom, we're good. All right, you can go ahead and get all the flags now. So this was a pretty cool box, y'all. No, I didn't mean to do all that. So this is a pretty cool box, you all. You know, a few countermeasures, right? Obviously, there are always going to be some countermeasures here, right? Let's start from the top, okay? First of all, we don't want anonymous users to be able to query our systems for information. That's what we were able to do with enum for Linux, which is why we were able to find the SVC Alfresco account. Okay, we want to prevent things like that from happening. Okay, and in addition, the pre-authentication attack, we can prevent that, right? The pre-authentication attack is, I think it's called it's AS-rep roasting attack, right? The way you would stop that is by enabling pre-authentication, right? You want to enable pre-authentication in Kerberos because that will prevent, well, we'll try to prevent people from stealing the TGT. All right, another thing we want to do is have better group access control, right? With all this Bloodhound stuff that we had over here with our user SVC Alfresco having access to all these different high privileged accounts, privileged IT account operators, right? He probably doesn't need to be in the account operators. Depending on what task that service account is for, it probably doesn't need to be here. So better group controls, better access controls would be a great countermeasure. And finally, we want to prevent that desync attack we just did. That DCsync attack, right? The domain controller sync attack. That's going to be a tongue twister forever. We want to prevent that from happening. That's not as straightforward to prevent because we are abusing normal domain controller behavior. Okay, so once again, better access control would help in a situation like that, because in order to replicate domain objects in the manner we did, you have to have the right access control, right? You have to have replication access and directory change access. So all in all, better access control would definitely be key here, especially on your domain controller where you have all this sensitive information. Everyone shouldn't be able to extract things with Sharphound, or even be able to transfer a tool like Sharphound on there to start using for collection and analysis. Well, hopefully you all enjoyed this walkthrough. Please, please, please do me a favor and smash the heck out of that like button, y'all. Please. We want to make the algorithms go crazy for online security. Do me a favor, do us all a favor, smash that like button. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about us. Share the video, leave a comment. We are always looking back for your comments, and we do our best to respond to each and every one. Other than that, I hope you all had a good time. Please stay safe. Hold on to your loved ones. Give them a fat kiss. Make sure they know that you love them. And I will see you all next time. Peace.